Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to the regular board meeting of the Winnipeg School Board for Monday, February 7th, 2022. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I would like to remind everyone to turn off their cell phones and any electronic devices. I would like to state that this school board meeting is taking place on Treaty 1 land and the traditional homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. Call to order and roll call. Mr. Cochin, please proceed with the roll call.
Roll call for the regular board meeting of Winnipeg School Division for February 7th, 2022. Trustee Adele.
Here.
Trustee Reed.
Here.
Trustee Murdoch. Trustee Dumont.
Here.
Trustee Shetkowski. Here. Okay. Trustee Chen.
Yeah.
Trustee Broughton.
I'm here as well.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Reed, that the agenda be approved. Are there any additions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, go ahead, Trustee Dumont.
Yeah, I have an agenda. Just in addition, just give me a quick moment.
Okay.
Can I ask that OC04-22 letter from Justin Rumpel, Director of Human Resource Services and Provincial Bargaining, Manitoba School Boards Association regarding MSBA Bill 45 recommendations be added to business matters as defined in Rule 44.7 for discussion?
Thank you. Can I get a seconder, please? Trustee Chen, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Delegations. Ethan Brinkman. I would like to call upon Ethan Brinkman to begin his presentation to the board regarding consequences of COVID policies. In accordance with Procedural Bylaw 1263, Section 32.8, you shall be granted 10 minutes to make your presentation to the board. Go ahead, Mr. Brinkman.
Thank you. So as you know, there has been lots of COVID policies. I'm particularly focusing on the closure of weight rooms and sports programs. So I personally think that this COVID policy is super irresponsible. It's counterproductive, not just against COVID, but general health of the whole generation. This whole generation. As it stands, obesity has been attributed to more deaths, almost double than COVID during the pandemic, as per the WHO and the Canadian Senate report of 2014 on the obesity crisis, where they described obesity as an epidemic, where they reported that 10% of deaths are attributed to obesity. So that's 10% of all deaths in Canada are attributed to obesity. The report said that 1 in 5 Canadians are obese. Now 1 in 4 are obese. There have been 60,000 deaths that have been attributed to obesity alone throughout the pandemic, and that's Canada-wide. Except this crisis has lasted much longer than a decade and is escalating, and will last much longer than this pandemic. So why are we keeping these policies that break the healthy habits of our students? After all, the habits that they make today are the habits that they make tomorrow. It's not like most students can find alternatives either. Most gyms don't accept anyone under 18 to buy a membership. Obesity is also very expensive, and as it is dangerous, as $30 billion a year more are spent due to obesity-related hospitalizations and medication. But it's not just physical health that this affects. Lots of students find physical activity to contribute to mental health, with 60% of Canadians finding physical exercise is important for their mental wellness, as per the Canadian government. We aren't just dealing with obesity now. We are dealing with mental health, and with some of the C students, they're planning to proceed in a career in these sports. And closing these sports programs are actively stopping them from proceeding to their dream career. And when you mess with a young person's future, that's something that is dangerous, very dangerous. As a student, I know uncertainty in one's future and way of life is frustrating and distracting and sometimes detrimental to one's life. But having it happen with little representation within schools or even knowledge of representations amongst the students, it can create an environment of free-floating anger in which there is no direction. Those that do have knowledge of the representation have little courage to speak their mind, as they do not feel it will be heard. But there is one thing everyone would understand. If I told them the same data I told you, they would have no faith in this democratic system and for our schools and its ability to make calculated decisions. How could they, after all? The government is telling them two things at the same time. Obesity is a crisis of over a decade that kills much more than COVID and has been going on much longer than COVID. Yet the policies focus on stopping the spread of COVID at the detriment of the physical health of students. This is a greater problem of mistrust between students and schools, which I do not know the effects of. So I would like to know, who is advising this board on this policy? Did they consider the effects on students before enacting it? If you didn't, then why are you putting our students in this experiment? Because frankly, that's what it ought to be called. That's the end of my presentation.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Brinkman. So thank you for presenting your information to the board. A motion is not required to receive presentations. Trustees, do you have any questions of Mr. Brinkman? Trustee Murdoch?
I would like to hear his suggestions. What would be helpful?
Don't close the sports program. There is no alternative. Students don't have any alternatives to school weight rooms or school sports programs. There is no alternative for this one.
Is there any other questions of Mr. Brinkman? Seeing none, seeing no further questions. Oh, there's a question, Trustee Dumont.
Sure. Thank you, Ethan, for your presentation today. As you know, schools have a number of measures in place to help protect against the spread or the risk of spread of COVID-19. And in your thoughts, and maybe just building on Trustee Murdoch's question, did you have any thoughts on what schools and or students could do to make access to these spaces safe?
I think that for the amount of students within a school that use these programs and use the weight rooms, it's impossible to effectively schedule everyone around each other. I think the best way to go forward is just opening them up, right? Because I've seen all these different athletes and all these different people that depend on these weight rooms go through the worst that I've ever seen them. And I've seen multiple of these athletes. And these were like happy kids, happy students before they closed down the programs. And it just shook me.
Thank you, Trustee Murdoch.
I'd like to say, I go to a program called 9 Round downtown. They have two. Maybe this is we're gonna have to move to. as school if we're going to keep these facilities open. But they have two.
Trustee Murdoch, do you have a question of Mr. Brinkman, please?
I do. What if there was two stations? What if there was two stations and someone was cleaning them all the time? Would that be acceptable? Like if you're
I think
on
that
red or you're on black, and then when you're done, you somebody's coming through. Like you just got to alternate people faster.
I think that having as a policy for students to wipe down their equipment, even before the pandemic, that should have been that should be standard. I don't particularly like laying in people's sweat anyway. So I think it's just common sense for people to clean up after themselves after their workout.
But I think it's more common sense. Like if we're gonna if that was something we would open up, I would suggest that somebody else would be cleaning up, and there would be a plan where people would be on like step 1 or step 2. Like they'd be on green or black.
Thank you,
And
Trustee Murdoch.
that's
Thank you.
my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Trustee Shinkowski, you have a question?
Yes, I'd like to thank him for coming out and speaking. I'd also like to apologize. I was a little late. So I don't know if this was covered or not, but I'd like to know what are the statistics of the different groups that are using these gyms for weight loss or other?
Could you elaborate a little bit more? I don't know what you mean by the different groups.
Okay. Do you feel that, like, I'd like to know the statistics of how many people or students are using it for weight loss, as you said, or how many students are using it just to be athletic? Because I don't know if they still call them jocks in school, but these guys are always in the weight rooms and all this and that. So I was just wondering, do you have an amount of, if we were to open up these things or have that program, who would really benefit most?
Well, it's I don't have the statistics specifically. From what I know, there's a lot of people in different sports programs, which do have their own gym. As it stands, the football team for Sisler High School, their weight room has been closed, despite them needing it to keep up physically. As a lot of these students don't have access to any other gym other than that one. So it's a big detriment to those kids that may look to football as a career or think to get a scholarship in football, may not get the chance because they aren't able to keep up physically anymore. So it's not just about keeping healthy, of course.
Right. Then I would say also that, unfortunately, due to the pandemic that we are in, this really involves everyone because students, whether they're in remote learning or whether they're in school learning, it's not the same. Teachers are trying to do the best they can with their curriculum. And, if you don't have the children attending, so it's just everything has been affected with this COVID, unfortunately.
Thank you, Trustee Shinkowski.
I would like to bring just a remark on what she had just said. As it stands, like I said, it's 10% of all deaths in Canada have been attributed to obesity. And there has been more deaths attributed to obesity than attributed to COVID, almost double. I would just like to reiterate that point.
Thank you. Is there any further questions, please? Trustee Murdoch?
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just at my kickboxer. So, I know exactly what's going on with my gym right now.
But you have a question, Trustee Murdoch?
I do. how are we going to clean the facility? How is the facility going to be detoxed? Is what I want to know. Because
I'm not a doctor.
the facility gets it gets really detoxed really,
Chair,
really well.
I'd like to raise a point of order.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. It isn't up to our guests to figure out, that's up to us to figure out if we opened it, how we would clean it, so.
I'm just trying to figure that out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
curious.
Thank you.
Chair,
Curious.
I'd like to raise a point of order. I'd like
Sure.
to make a motion that we go into camera as soon as this presentation is completed.
All right.
Sure. Is there a seconder?
Here we go.
Trustee Reed, all in favor? Any
Sorry.
opposed?
Into camera to discuss.
After this meeting, the motion was, there was a motion made, it was seconded, and we're gonna move into camera after this.
Everything got into camera.
Okay.
And in camera,
There's no
our
more
in camera.
questions?
Good. We're good. Come on.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ethan, for coming and presenting to us. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Let's have it.
So we're moving into camera now. Trustee Dumont, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. Chair, at 7:23, the members went into closed camera with the Chief Superintendent, Secretary Treasurer, Chief Human Resources Officer, and the Board and Community Liaison Officer. And I'd like to put forward a motion that Trustee Murdoch be removed from the meeting due to improper conduct.
Can I get a seconder, please? Trustee Reed, any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll continue on with our meeting now. Reading and confirming of minutes. Moved by Trustee Reed, seconded by Trustee Shinkowski, that the minutes dated January 17th, 2022 be approved as distributed. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Reading of communications and petitions, moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Reed, that OC 03-22 from Wayne USCO, Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning, announcing that the Manitoba government will be proclaiming Bill 45, the Public Schools Amendment and Manitoba Teachers Society Amendment Act, into force on January 31st, 2022, that this correspondence be received as information. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Chen, that OC 04-22 from Justin Rempel, Director of Human Resource Services and Provincial Bargaining, Manitoba School Boards Association, regarding MSBA Bill 45 recommendations, that this correspondence be referred to Finance/Personnel Committee for discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Presentation and consideration of reports. Superintendent's Report number 1-2022 dated February 7th, 2022. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Dumont, that subject to Manitoba Education Funding Branch approval, the tender of Oakwood Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Limited to supply all material and perform all work in connection with the roof replacement with the roof replacement 2022-1976D project at River Elm School be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $229,836 being the tender price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into the contract with Oakwood Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Limited for the carrying out of the work. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Dumont, seconded by Trustee Reed, that the quote from A&B Mechanical Limited to supply all material and perform all work in connection with the chiller repair project at Kelvin High School to be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $92,603.15 being the quoted price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with A&B Mechanical Limited for the carrying out of the work. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Shinkowski, that subject to Manitoba Education Funding Branch approval, the tender of U-Build Inc. to supply all material and perform all work in connection with the structural repairs 2021 at Sisler High School be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $497,211 being the tender price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with U-Build Inc. for the carrying out of the work. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Reed, seconded by Trustee Chen, that subject to Manitoba Education Funding Branch approval, the tender of Regent Construction Inc. to supply all material and perform all work in connection with the roof and exterior wall renewal project at Carpathia School be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $4,225,855 being the tender price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with Regent Construction Inc. for the carrying out of the work. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Dumont, seconded by Trustee Chen, that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into an encroachment agreement with the City of Winnipeg to provide a building addition to enclose an elevator, vestibule, and storage area located at Mulvey School. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 6.2 Children's Heritage Committee Report number 1-2022 dated January 25th, 2022. Moved by Trustee Reed, seconded by Trustee Broughton, that the Children's Heritage Committee Report number 1-2022 dated January 25th, 2022 be received as information. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Trustee Reed, do you have any recommendations?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I do. I may be having some technical issues here, but the committee recommends, and I so move, that the terms of reference and guidelines for the Children's Heritage Fund Committee be approved.
Can I get seconder, trustee Broughton? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Indigenous 6.3 Indigenous Education Ad Hoc Committee Report number 1-2022 dated January 26, 2022. Moved by trustee Broughton, seconded by trustee Dumont, that the Indigenous Education Ad Hoc Committee Report number 1-2022 dated January 26, 2022 be received as information. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Newcomer Education Ad Hoc Committee Report number 1-2022 dated February 1st, 2022. Moved by trustee Chen, seconded by trustee Shinkowski, that the Newcomer Education Ad Hoc Committee Report number 1-2022 dated February 1st, 2022 be received as information. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And then we're moving on to new business. Bylaw 1298, first, second, and final reading, debenture borrowing promissory note, $2,673,700. Moved by trustee Broughton, seconded by trustee Reed, that bylaw 1298, a bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division for the purpose of borrowing $2,673,700 for certain building projects be introduced and read a first time in short. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Cochin?
A bylaw of the Board of Trustees of Winnipeg School Division for the purpose of borrowing the sum of $2,673,700 and of issuing a debenture and or promissory note hereinafter called as security therefore.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Chen, seconded by trustee Shinkowski, that the rules be suspended in order for bylaw 1298 to be read a second time in short. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by trustee Broughton, seconded by trustee Reed, that bylaw 1298 be now read a second time in short. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mr. Cochin?
A bylaw of the Board of Trustees of Winnipeg School Division for the purpose of borrowing the sum of $2,673,700 and of issuing a debenture and or promissory note hereinafter called as security therefore.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Chen, seconded by trustee Shinkowski, that the rules be suspended in order for bylaw 1298 to be read a third time in short. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by trustee Broughton, seconded by trustee Reed, that bylaw 1298 be read a third time in short and passed. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, trustee Broughton?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Quick question for the administration. The building projects that are listed in this promissory note, are these building projects that have already been approved by the board through previous reports?
Mr. Rendrell can correct me, but I believe so. I'm just taking a quick glance at them.
Yes, the one that's up on the screen right now. Modular classroom, these were already approved before.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Cochin?
A bylaw of the Board of Trustees of Winnipeg School Division for the purpose of borrowing the sum of $2,673,700 and of issuing a debenture and or promissory note hereinafter called as security therefore.
Thank you. Moving on to 7.2, bylaw 1299 to repeal bylaw 1284 to appoint a senior election official. Moved by trustee Chen, seconded by trustee Shinkowski, that bylaw 1299, a bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division, for the purpose of repealing bylaw 1284 to appoint a senior election official, be now introduced and read a first time in short. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Cochin?
A bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division to repeal bylaw 1284, a bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division to appoint a senior election official pursuant to provisions of the Municipal Councils and School Boards Election Act of the Province of Manitoba.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Dumont, seconded by trustee Reed, that the rules be suspended in order for bylaw 1299 to be read a second time in short. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by trustee Chen, seconded by trustee Shinkowski, that bylaw 1299 be now read a second time in short. Any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? Carried. Mr. Cochin?
A bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division to repeal bylaw 1284, a bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division to appoint a senior election official pursuant to provisions of the Municipal Councils and School Boards Election Act of the Province of Manitoba.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Dumont, seconded by trustee Reed, that the rules be suspended in order for bylaw 1299 to be read a third time in short. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by trustee Chen, seconded by trustee Shinkowski, that bylaw 1299 be now read a third time in short and passed. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Cochin?
A bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division to repeal bylaw 1284, a bylaw of the Winnipeg School Division to appoint a senior election official pursuant to provisions of the Municipal Councils and School Boards Election Act of the Province of Manitoba.
Thank you. 7.3, 2022 School Division election, moved by trustee Dumont, seconded by trustee Reed, that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into an agreement with the City of Winnipeg to conduct the 2022 election for school trustees at a total cost of $425,470.88. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Education Equity Advisory Committee. Do we have any nominations? So we need 2 nominations. So can I get a mover and a seconder? Trustee Broughton?
I move and nominate trustee Dumont and trustee Reed.
Can I get a seconder? Trustee Shinkowski. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 7.5, Manitoba School Boards Association, Manitoba Universal Standards Trust Fund representative. Do we have any nominations? We need 1 person, so I need someone to move and someone to second 1 person on this committee. Trustee Dumont.
I'd like to nominate trustee Broughton.
Can I get a seconder, please? Trustee Reed. Trustee Broughton, do you accept the nomination? Thank you. So moved by trustee Demont, seconded by trustee Reed, that trustee Broughton be named as the MSBA Manitoba Universal Standards Trust Fund representative for the term commencing December 1st, 2021. All those in favor? Any opposed? I'm sorry, trustee Demont, did you have a question? Your hand's up, I'm sorry.
Sorry, that was an artifact.
Oh, okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. 7.6, pandemic recovery / information technology. The following notice of motion is being presented by trustee Broughton. A, that the Board of Trustees, in consultation with the administration, utilize a third party to conduct a comprehensive review of the information technology systems and infrastructure based on, but not limited to, the following: information technology infrastructure access, reliability, and security; enterprise software and services access, reliability, and security; information technology procurement, support, troubleshooting, and repair. That a working group be established to review and recommend the development of digital expertise in the classroom and enhance student digital literacy. That a report on the findings be provided to the Board of Trustees upon completion of the review. This matter will be added to the agenda for discussion at the next meeting, March 7th, 2022. 7.7, pandemic recovery, student mental health. The following notice of motion is being presented by trustee Broughton. That the Winnipeg School Division develop a student mental health pandemic recovery plan, which includes consultation with mental health experts, labor representatives, students, and staff. Partner with the mental health experts for a short and long-term study of student mental health. Connections to the First Nations mental awareness continuum framework. A budget to be consideration by the Finance Personnel Committee, and regular updates to the Board of Trustees on the status of the plan. This matter will be added to the agenda for discussion at the next meeting, March 7th, 2022. 7.8, pandemic recovery / education plan. The following notice of motion is being presented by trustee Broughton. That the Board of Trustees, in consultation with administration, develop and implement an education pandemic recovery plan based on the following components: A, outdoor education and land-based education. Expand existing outdoor and land-based teaching opportunities, increase capacity to teach in outdoor learning environments, expand teacher resources and professional development in outdoor education. B, play. Enhance indoor and outdoor opportunities for play, including equipment and materials, improved planning and staffing for play-based learning, expand student leadership programs, review school access to nature and natural materials for play. And C, access to technology and literacy and digital literacy. Enhance staff and student access to technology, ensure robust information technology systems, expand teacher resources and professional development in digital literacy, develop multi-year strategy for developing teacher digital expertise. D, extended learning options. Alternative learning day and extended school year options for some schools in Winnipeg School Division, with consideration for implementation for the 2022-2023 school year. Expand partnerships with community-based organizations to develop school-based learning and enrichment opportunities. Expand summer school programming. E, extracurricular learning, arts, sports, cultural education, and activities. Ensure equitable access to extracurricular programs. Expand access to extracurricular programming. Connect families with community-based extracurricular programs. F, refocus of school-based decision-making, reduce or streamline administrative tasks for teachers and school administrators, expand leadership development, professional development for school administrators, reduce planning, HR, finance, and building management tasks for school administrators, assign the role of recess/extracurricular coordinator to each elementary school, school planning, prioritizing teaching time, and reducing learning interruptions. This matter will be added to the agenda for discussion at the next meeting, March 7th, 2022. Agenda information moved by Trustee Shinkowski, seconded by Trustee Chen, that information correspondence IC02-22 to IC03-22 be received as information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Shinkowski, seconded by Trustee Chen, that Superintendent's Information Report number 1-2022 be received as information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Business matters as defined in Rule 44.7, moved by Trustee Dumont, seconded by Trustee Reed, that the board move into business matters as defined in Rule 44.7. Carried.